exclusive interaction then with Sugar Cosmetics founder and CEO Vineeta Singh. She talks about her entrepreneurial journey, Sugar's swift rise, and tells us if the sweet gains in terms of profitability and growth are in store ahead. Listen.
We do expect that next couple of years we should be quite close to filing a DRHP. The idea is, of course, FY24 we should be profitable and we should accomplish this 70% growth target that we have in our mind, which would also help us become the second largest brand in this category, in the color cosmetics category. We feel that going into that IPO stage where you have a shot at becoming the largest brand in the category, still the fastest growing profitably, with good fundamentals is I think the perfect timing. And of course the market does now value profitability a lot, so which we want to ensure that we get it out of the way over the next 12 months.
Okay. Let's move right on and talk about the penetration in terms of how many standalone stores you currently have and where you're present via other stores as well. What's the retail presence?
Sure. So we have stores like these of our own are about 180. Okay. And they're great places for us to bring influencers, bring the community, our customers in to learn. So almost 50% of our business actually now comes from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, where the consumer is beginning to become as aspirational. So in these cities we have some of these stores where we're becoming like the first brand that went to that city and started a makeup store. And I feel that women in smaller cities are as aspirational. They're spending as much time on social media. It's just that they still don't have access to the best products in the world.
Yeah, and you have makeup artists there. Maybe I should have got my makeup done over here as well.
Next time please give us the opportunity.
100%. But you were talking about that tier 2 and 3 penetration, nearly 50% of the business. Is that what you plan to really leverage and grow, looking at those tier 2 and 3 cities vis-a-vis the metros?
So tier 2, tier 3 will, of course, because that's where a bulk of India resides. For us, metros also continues to grow, and we do feel that probably by the end of next year we'll be at more like a 60-40 split between tier 2, tier 3 and metros and tier 1 cities. The good thing about the internet is that e-commerce lets you deliver to 90,000 pin codes. So I don't think that in terms of strategy for an omni-channel brand like us, you don't really need to carve out a separate strategy, because wherever in 19,000 pin codes, you can deliver the next day or the next to next day. So anything that launches at Sugar, in the house of Sugar, is actually available in a Tinsukia in Assam within a couple of days as well. So I feel that that really democratizes this whole tiering. And we don't need to look at these strategies differently anymore, because it's the same consumer in different parts of the country. Maybe there are some changes in terms of the language, so which is why we have a lot of vernacular content now. Maybe you need local influencers, you need makeup to get localized, the content to get localized. And those are the changes our team is working on. But overall, from a product strategy perspective, I think we look at all of the tiers as the same.
Okay. And just looking at the inflationary pressures as well, one can't deny that you felt it. Has there been any increase in prices on SKUs? How have you dealt with the inflationary concerns?
So for us, because this is a category which operates at a 70% gross margin, we don't really pass through the inflationary pressure to the consumer. But as a brand, over the last 6-7 years, we didn't revise our prices. So there are some SKUs where we've revised the prices over the last 12 months. But in majority, 80% of our SKUs, we've absorbed the entire impact of inflation and not passed it to the consumer. I feel that for us, there isn't as much impact of this pressure on our supply chain from a costing perspective. But of course, what I'm wary about is that finally inflation impacts demand. And if the demand, which has been the last 3 months have been fabulous for us, Jan, Feb, March. were our biggest month in terms of tertiary sales, in terms of net revenue. All metrics have been out of the park. On a year-on-year level, we were at double the revenue of last year. So all those indications are good. But of course, April, May, June for us is the beginning of what we call off-season. Okay. And that's why we have our fingers crossed. And I feel my biggest fear is that if some of this inflationary pressure results in demand slowing down, then that is impact that young, fast-growing brand can't afford.
Okay. So what's the projection for your revenue, given that you said that there's been that phenomenal year-on-year growth? What's the projection for the next year, the year ahead?
So we're projecting about 70% growth in the coming year, okay. And the year after that would be more around 50 to 60%. We still feel that we have a lot of market share to gain. The market itself
also. What's your current market share?
Our current market share is about 6%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were talking about as well, leveraging technology, yeah. Being very digitally prevalent. I understand that you can now use AI to check out how a color of lipstick will look. So how are you leveraging technology?
Yeah. So definitely, like you said, AR, which is allows you to figure out how makeup will look on you before you buy, yeah. Is one of those important rollouts for us. Apart from that, I think one of the big things that we are seeing is that because we have access, thanks to the fact that in 2,500 stores we have our own makeup artist who has an app where every day she's recording every transaction with every consumer. This allows us a read of the consumer far better than any other brand. So at one level, our own app and our own stores, which is our direct to consumer business, D2C as you call it, makes out about 30% of our revenue. At the other end, even outside in shops and shops, we have our own makeup artists punching in data of what the consumer is shopping. This allows us for about 70-80% of our transactions, real-time knowledge of what is being sold in which pin code to what kind of a consumer.
Okay.
And that, I think, helps us in terms of new product development, in terms of merchandising, in terms of inventory optimization. It helps us with data which a lot of traditional brands don't have access to as on date. Okay. And I feel that the biggest work that is happening in terms of AI at Sugar is really using this data to make decisions on what is getting launched, what is getting rolled out in which city, what is showing up in the catalog in which store, how the trend is going to change for the wedding season versus Karwa Chauth versus Durga Puja. All of that is, insight is coming from this data that we're sitting on and that we're continuing to analyze. And I think AI is doing earlier, it was all on Excel sheets that you were figuring out merchandising in store, but AI is making it much easier to do this in a more scientific way.